looks like we're waiting on Jonathan Geras to decide mulligans, and he's mulliganing. It seems like Nicholas already kept because he's not even looking at his hand. So it's probably a 7 versus 6. So Nicholas being on the play is probably a huge advantage here.
You know, normally a lot of that advantage is gained from playing something that, like a Sphere of Resistance or a Thorn of Amethyst, that locks your opponent out before they can really get rolling. Because he and John are both on a workshop-based deck, doesn't provide as much of an advantage as you would think. I think it'll honestly be a little bit more important to see who lands, builds up their board and lands that first Tangle Wire. You know, and that'll actually effectively shut down the other person. But both of these decks have openers that can just do some broken things.
Yeah, we see a Soul Ring in Jonathan's hand. That's really good in this deck.
Always a good start.
Yeah. All right, so let's see how Nick starts off.
And we see a Workshop in Nick's hand, and
looks like 2 Wastelands in Jonathan's.
Yep, but the Soul Ring just gives him the type of
mana he needs, yeah.
Yep.
So the Thorn makes the Soul Ring a little harder to cast.
Assuming he doesn't have any
Moxen.
Anything else to go with it.
Can't do that. Oh, that's a proxy. Okay,
that's
I see.
Probably a proxy for
Black Lotus.
For Black Lotus. I'm like, Gilded Lotus. I haven't seen that in a deck in a long time, but
not a frequent one.
Black Lotus, spend 2 to play the Soul Ring. It's gonna make 2, so it's.
He's gonna play his Sphere of Resistance here. We're gonna go with Lockout plays and then try to Wasteland for the win. Ooh, Tangle Wire. That doesn't seem good. Yeah, that seems better. A lot of hesitation here. Okay.
So now that they've both played a card that increased its cost, we're going to see things slow down a little bit, especially John is going to have the ability to Wasteland if Nick doesn't have one.
Well, that's a good card to have here.
Oh, yeah. And we know what that's going to name. Phyrexian Revoker, you can name a non-land card, and stops it from working. So we assume he's named Soul Ring. And then Nick had a Wasteland of his own to try and stop John from destroying his Mishra's Workshop, but John had, as we knew, a second Wasteland.
Both players are essentially down to practically nothing, but Nick has 2 power.
Yep.
And that seems like it's just going to swing until the cows come home. Yep, that appears to be the case. If Nick has a land to apply more pressure with this Mishra's, then we could just, oh, there it is. We can probably say this game's over already.
It could be, but the thing with Workshop, if he draws a Workshop...
Yeah, even with the Sphere and the Thorn?
It depends on what else he has in his hand and how he's able to develop his board.
Okay. I guess if he gets to Ballista mana, he could take the Revoker off the table and then activate Soul Ring back on.
Yep.
But it looks like Nick
and now
is making his lands.
Like a Workshop will enable him to play a Ballista for 1 right away, because the Thorn's not going to affect it.
Now, I'm not sure what exactly that expedition is, but I assume it's a Sphere? No. Mana Crypt?
Probably Mana Crypt.
Mana Crypt. And we're swinging for 6 now, so the clock is just too fast.
And he's rolling dice, so it was definitely Mana Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
And John has not drawn a Workshop by now.
Yeah.
So 6 a turn is going to chip away.
And Nick's thinking if he should do anything.
And John
I don't think he needs to.
Calls it quits.
So good start for Nick. You think this is going to be the quickest one we're going to watch?
I don't think so.
Okay.
These games can definitely go long. I think that was a slightly unusual triple wasteland between the two players that knocked everybody out of playing things, and Nick had a couple things on the board already. That is definitely how this deck works, though.
Should we show them the playmat again? The thing that they can get from the TOAMagic website. So spend $100 or more, guys. You get one of these awesome playmats, and comes free with your order while supplies last. This promotion isn't expiring, but while supplies last is what it means. So don't wait too long. I'd hate for you to be that guy who spends $100 specifically to get this and find out we don't have any more left. So go on there now, figure out what you want, put that order in. All right, so we're sideboarding now. What do you think people are going to be bringing in for the mirror? We talked about this a little bit already.
So I think it's definitely Crucible on both their sides.
Both sides, of course.
Definitely Warm Coil Engine on both sides.
Metamorph, Dismember.
I like Dismember.
Okay.
But don't know how they really want to attack the other player. For me, I have not played workshops recently. When I did play them and it was the mirror, I like to board out things like Thorns or Spheres.
Yeah, they're not so great in the mirrors.
Not great, but we saw them matter then. Yeah. So I could be wrong. It's definitely not my.
Do you think Jonathan wants to bring in Pithing Needle?
I don't think so. I think that's really there for Bazaar Baghdad.
Yeah.
And anything he names, he's going to have in his deck as well.
The reason I'm thinking is, let's say he doesn't have a Crucible and Nick does, and then the Wasteland lock is there. He could potentially shut that down, and then obviously bad synergy with his own, but if he doesn't have it and Nick does, then it could have a function.
Right. No, it could. I think that's too much of a corner case to really be happy about.
Not enough.
Bringing that in. Right.
Okay.
Like, they're both definitely going to bring in Crucibles. Right. I think they're definitely bringing in Warm Coil Engine. The card's awesome. And I think they're bringing in Dismembers. As far as what they're bringing out, for me, it would be the Sphere effects. I'm not a huge fan of them in the mirror, but I could be wrong. We'll see.
Probably taking out Thorns first over Spheres.
Thorns and probably the Chalice. Although if you're on the play, Chalice is more reasonable because you get to play any Moxen you have, any Lotus, that sort of thing, and then Chalice on 0 to lock your opponent out of those.
Not enough things to bring in to take out all the Krings we don't like, though.
Right.
So that's going to be the interesting part. They're still going to have to keep some of that in, but maybe they can take advantage, like you said, of what happened in Game 1, get a little bit ahead, put out some Spheres, and maybe lock the game out that way, too. So I think it also favors the person who's on the play to have Spheres. So we'll see how that works out, too. Shuffling up. Jonathan using his one pile shuffle. I'll never get over that, by the way.
Not a bad policy.
Yeah, you cannot get me over that. I'm a fan of doing it that way, but doing it for 24 years, I don't care if the math says it's wrong.
The next thing you're going to tell me is lands in front. I mean,
no.
What do you like?
I've always played lands in back. That's just the way I played also. But it just gets me that I can't shuffle the way I like to. Yeah. I can understand it being a thing that makes sense, but
the argument is that it certainly is not random.
Sure. I think
especially multiple pile shuffles and only multiple pile shuffles.
I think the argument is it's not any more random than the other thing, and it takes more time.
Okay.
I think that was the strong argument that came out for why they came out with a new rule.
I mean, they've definitely made some changes to tournament rules and even card legality based on the needs of a tournament. That's why we don't get to play with Shahrazad. It's because there's without, for those of you who don't know, Shahrazad is a card that starts a sub game where you get to shuffle up and play a game within a game. And I mean, what do you do? Do you ask the people next to you to move so you can start your sub game next to your playmat? No. So Shahrazad is banned.
Yes. And the sub-game winner restarts the game that's been going on with half their life. The loser, sorry, not the winner. Yeah. So you're playing for some damage advantage, basically.
Shahrazad is fun.
An expensive card?
It is.
Yeah, people like owning it.
It's from Arabian Nights.
Yeah.
I think those people just liked owning it to
own it,
to be annoying and playing it, All right, so it looks like they both decided to keep, and John has that
the Black Lotus.
Black Lotus again. and we'll see what he leads into with that. Follows up with Mishra's Factory. Hey, the namesake.
So we're on the aggressive hand, I'd
Absolutely. So we've got Fleetwheel Cruiser cracking in for 5, turn 1.
For those at home wondering, like, is this card good enough? Can we continually crew it successfully enough? I think the fact that Factory is a 2/2 and can crew it is the reason that it really makes the deck.
Yeah, between Mishra's Factory and Phyrexian Revoker, you get a lot of those 2-power creatures that once Revoker's in play, you're not really counting on it to do much attacking.
And for the longest time, Juggernaut was a thing. People just played Juggernaut. And
I love Juggernaut.
Juggernaut doesn't attack the turn you play it. So this is something else that does something good. And there's no Lightning Bolt in this format. I mean, obviously there is.
Not anymore.
But nobody's on it.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about the fact that Fleetwheel's toughness is
when Lodestone was unrestricted a couple years ago, definitely saw more Lightning Bolts being played. But
so, interesting. They both have their Lotus in their opening. Let's see what Nick does.
And we have not seen a sphere effect from either one of them yet.
Right. We did see a Factory, which Nick is incentivized to strip mine. It looks like he's heavily considering Tolarian Academy or strip mine here. And then what's he going to play with the 4 mana?
4 mana.
Oh, these things are going to get us. So it's an Expedition Walking Ballista or the Hangerback Walker? Hangerback Walker it is. We have a confirmation on that. So that's going to be an interesting one. It's going to grow and grow. I mean, one more counter, it trades with the Fleet Wheel and then presents a lot of Thopters. So that could be pretty good here.
So John's got an Academy of his own.
Which, down to only 1 artifact, though.
Somehow I think the phrase "not for long" applies here.
Oh, maybe not.
Interesting.
Remember the days where Workshop used to splash for Demonic Tutor, Balance, and Ancestral Recall?
I love those days.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5-color shops.
Yeah.
A la Roland Chang was a proponent and pilot of a lot of those builds. A lot of tutor effects.
Relic. Okay, so he did board out some of the cards we talked about being bad, and he boarded in a couple cards that cycle for 2 mana.
Right.
Yeah, and he just figured cycling them would be better than the opposite. Not to mention Relic, getting to tap it with the opponent's Tangle Wires could also be good.
Right.
So Nick, an experienced shops player, making a smart play that wasn't at first obvious to me, at least. Because don't play enough Vintage. I want to play enough Vintage. For that to happen, people need to go to these Eternal Extravaganza events, Turtle Weekends. Let's start supporting this format, guys. Relic also good against the Crucible plan.
It is.
So more reasons to bring it in. This Tangle Wire, I think, is going to do what you were talking about. It's going to act as a time walk for a few turns. Do you think he just activates Hangerback Walker here, activates Relic, and just lets his whole board get tapped?
Yeah.
Looks like that's the play.
Yeah, because I don't think attacking for 2 has the same amount of value as increasing Hangerback Walker's power and toughness. Get that other counter on there.
And that Fleet Wheel is not coming in, so.
No, not anytime soon.
Maybe in 2 turns. And Jonathan not coming together with his deck in this match.
No, it's the same thing that happened last game rather, where John just got stuck on mana a little bit. And John had the Wasteland, John had a Factory. But Nick had the, was it Strip Mine this game?
Yeah, I think it's Strip Mine.
A Strip Effect.
This is just like any format, any game where one player has the land, the other person doesn't.
I mean, definitely.
Oh, Workshop. Okay.
And Nick's going to take a commanding lead here.
Yes, and a Fleet Wheel Cruiser of his own. So I have a feeling this game is over in 1 more turn. Yeah, so Jonathan's whole board is going to get tapped. Next turn, the Factory is going to get activated, and we're going to attack for lethal. So pretty good. That's a fast match.
Well,
I wonder, are we going to queue up a backup?
He might have
nothing to crew the vehicle with.
Oh,
Jonathan conceded anyway.
Scoops it up. Yep.